I'm Brittany.
And this is Out of the Loop.
Hey.
Right?
Influx of things I shouldn't be drinking or eating, influx of things I know I really shouldn't be eating. I've actually noticed the physical differences in my body when I switch back to like eating it consistently here and there. And then it makes me go back to learning to not eat that stuff no more and stay away from it because
really trying to hone in on that self-discipline for yourself.
Yeah,
you know,
self-discipline is hard, and that's one thing that a lot of people will try to make it seem like when you're trying to become healthier or balance your health, I should say, because it's not really about just waking up one morning and throwing out all the junk food in your house. It's really transitional. Yeah. So yeah, you bought a bunch of food that you know that you really shouldn't be eating this week and you want to transition like in the next couple of weeks. Cool. Eat through that food. Set a goal for yourself because you spend your money. Set a goal for yourself. Right. And say, okay, the next time I go grocery shopping, I'm going to buy less of the junk stuff and more of the good stuff so that when I go to eat, that's all this is in the refrigerator. And if you let it go to waste, you're going to be mad at yourself that you spent money on good food and didn't cook it because I didn't like it. It's not I wasn't hungry for that or whatever. Like you start becoming creative because you're like, okay, well this is all I have, so now I gotta make a meal and I gotta make the meal taste good. Right. And I got so you really start like wanting to try to figure it out when you go that route. And when I was in college, there was times when I was like broke, so it helped me because it was like, okay, meat is expensive. So I didn't really cook too many like meaty
gourmet
meals. I was making gourmet vegan meals because I was like, well, I want my meal to taste good, but I don't got no meat. So I would figure out how to do it without putting the meat in it because the meat is like $20,
right?
And the fruits and veggies are like $7. So like I only got $30. I'm gonna spend the whole $30 on the fruit and the veggies and the meat. Like no, I'm gonna just leave the meat and keep the $20 for when I need another meal and another meal.
And to piggyback, like to debunk, myths and all kinds of like, I think people when they hear like veganism or they hear like just you trying to transition into a better eating lifestyle, they immediately associate that with like weight loss. Like I'm already a slender person. Yeah. No. I've been fuller, but I've never been like when I started eating things that I knew that I should have been eating. The weight kind of came off me, and I was kind of like, oh no, like I miss my thighs and butt, but it's like you have to understand that certain weight is for your body. Right. And you have to be comfortable with that. There are a lot of, especially right now in social, there's a lot of people that will make you feel like, because you're slender, they're like, oh, well, you don't eat enough. Let me tell you something. I will eat you out of a house and a home. And if any of my friends, I know they'll see this and they're watching this, they'll tell you, I will eat you out of a house and a home. But there's a difference when you're consuming things that are not good for you versus what is good for you and what your body can digest and what your body can handle. Because our body isn't made to consume the things that we consume, especially living in America.
High amounts of sugar,
processed food. Like processed food is like the number one thing here that,
High sugar processed food, like, and those type of things, again, like, when you're kind of just following the trends of like society, media, things that are on TV, like you think that, okay, you need to have a fat ass or like
it's like, oh well, let me keep
you gotta be super ridiculously voluptuous and like you know what I mean, but like diabetes is real, super real, you know what I mean, and it's not about being some voluptuous vegan, it's about being comfortable with you. That's very true, and that's really where I'm
just letting you know that
there are, but they're rare. They're rare, and I want to make that very clear because I don't want people feeling like they gotta now research umpteen thousand ways to get that body type as a vegan. And it's like when you really shouldn't be even thinking about that as a person. You need to be learning how to love mentally, spiritually, and physically healthy. That's where that all comes from. Because if you feel like you need to eat a certain way to look like a certain type of body type, when that's not your natural body type, your body is going to be screaming at you at some point of time for eating like that because you're putting pressure on it to look a way that it was not intended to be. And now your body's trying to force to process all of these foods and figure out how to place it. There's a lot of girls who are thinner that are, like, I've been on YouTube and I've been watching some of these like little weight gain little things, and y'all are coming to find out real fast that being thick is not real for everybody. You'll be fat real quick, and that's just that. Like, you know, it's not.
I know, because they're mistaken. They think that, like, oh, let me eat all of this. Where your fat goes on your body is not where somebody else's fat goes on this. Like, nope. It doesn't, you know, like, it doesn't fall into the same places.
Nope.
Like, nope. It doesn't happen that way. You know?
It doesn't happen that way. Everybody...
And I agree with you about because I'm not trying to push and say, like, you know, you gotta have curves, whatever. I know for me, coming from a person who was once body conscious and felt like I felt better, bigger. Now that I am the size that I am and I'm comfortable in myself, I look back and I'm like, damn, you know, I really wasn't. I just liked it because, you know, I just felt like that's how I needed to look. Mm-hmm. That's what I created in my mind, you mm-hmm. know? And I would get offended when people like, oh my God, girl, you're so skinny. And I'd be so annoyed because it's like, you know what? I am. So what? Mm-hmm. And your point?
And
like, all right, cool.
Totally understand how that is.
Like, so, you know, so definitely agreeing with you on that, because it definitely is a full balance, and, you know, and it is discouraging, and it is annoying, but it brings
I know
you
there's
back
a lot of, just as many big girls there are out there battling their weight.
Yeah.
There's a lot of very thin girls out here that are really, really trying hard to, like, change, to eat as much as they can.
Looking at each other like, and
they're
like,
like,
I want to be you. And it's like, I want to be you.
And it's like, no, just be you and work
like,
on you for you. And however you come out as your optimal is your optimal. And be thankful for that. And grateful for that. And appreciate that. And just let it be that. Don't feel like, okay, because I lost all this weight and I'm not like curvy and slender, my waist is not a size 28 and my hips is not a size 42, and now, no, my body goals is not where they gotta be. Now I gotta like get some hip injections or butt injections or whatever to fill it back in, and now you look crazy.
You look like an
because
ant.
You have people that are, you know, or like, you know, you feel like you need to be that size, so now you feel like you gotta crash diet and you gotta crash lose weight and you gotta crash, and now you're putting your body at all types of risks. Yep. You're putting your joints at all types of risks.
You're putting things in your body that you know don't belong.
That don't belong, so you can lose weight faster or gain weight faster or whatever it is. But at the end of the day, like, if it's the winter now and you're trying to get a summer body, or say it's the spring and you're trying to get a summer body, girl, you better just wait till next summer, because at the end of the day, it takes time sometimes.
For real.
Sometimes it takes time.
And
you have to accept that.
And yourself.
And yourself. And sometimes you may never have that body image. And that's okay too.
It really
and you're still beautiful. And I'm not saying that because it's the cheesy thing to say. I'm saying it because it's the truth. Mm-hmm. And you'll be killing yourself, picking yourself apart your whole life if that's the way you go about your health.
Exactly. And so with that, after we done preached about that, so it brings us to our final question. So, you know, what are we doing to apply these practices? And are you truly committed? So I feel like we touched on that just a little bit. But the truly committed part, I am truly committed. But I also think that what I'm learning in being committed is the consistency. To just kind of highlight, because we kind of really already answered this, but it's really about the consistency. And it's really about also not beating yourself up if you fall off. Mm-hmm. Not beating yourself up and really like being like, like, you know, everything takes time. Everything that is good, everything, you know, that you want to get to, every focal, every platform you want to get to, it takes time. And you have to be okay with that. People have lost like a sense of patience. And, you know, and I'm really like, I feel like I've always been a patient person, but when it comes to certain things, I feel like, you know, and I feel everybody can share that. You know, you want it now, you want this, you want this. You know, I want my chakras aligned. I want my mind cleared. You know, I want it today. Like, no, there are gurus who have meditated for years and they still could tell you, oh no, I had a bad day yesterday. All that whole mental, I was messed up. Like, you know, but I'm working on it, and I know that that's a part of being human. I know that that's a part of, you know, me getting through life.
Right. And I feel like it's not so much about like it not happening. It's like how fast you can bounce back from it once it happens.
Right.
Like that's really where it comes from, because for me with that, like with the guru standpoint, like I know a lot of people look at me and they're like, oh, Brittany, you know, she's always smiling, or she's always like, you know, trying to be like a light or whatever. But like if you know me when I'm, by myself, or maybe just with me and one other family member, when I'm really venting and I'm really, like my anger levels or my, dark side can truly come out too. And I can say, like, when I talk to people about that, there's so many people who say, I don't think I've ever seen that side of you. And I think it's crazy because I've seen the side of me and I know what it looks like.
Right.
Like, and I know people close to me knows what it looks like.
I agree.
But,
I agree.
there's so many people.
Same. I think that too. I think a lot of people, they probably are surprised when they hear you say, oh, well, you struggle with confidence. I'm like, yes, I'm a person. Like, I'm a regular person.
Right.
Like, I have a certain level of confidence, but there are things that shake that confidence. There are things day to day that make you, question it, right? You could be a very confident person, but, we're in a very, like, the world is cold and it's harsh, but it's really just about, like you said, the bounce back and getting through it and being okay with getting through it and knowing that, like, not everything is, like a crisis. Not everything is like a woe is me. Sometimes you will be in those moments. You will have those moments where you sit down and you really, like, you just have to have it out. Those are okay too. I feel like those are mental balances. I feel like if you're a person that tries to keep it in all the time, or you're a person that, walks around like, no, I'm okay, everything's hunky-dory, that's a mental breakdown waiting to happen too. And, you have to just accept all of those kind of elements for yourself, and in order to really kind of find a whole cohesive balance of being well in all those degrees, just knowing that it's really okay. It's just, life is like really what you make it. It really is what you make it. Your health is really what you make it. So,
right.
If you're not going to put the time to invest in these things, and if you don't care, or if you choose to be ignorant, like, that's fine. But if you find yourself in the same cycles, you find yourself not being able to get out of the loop. You see what I did? There? Anyways, if you find yourself not being able to get out of those things, it's probably because you keep doing the same thing. And if you want to get out of it, then you got to do something different. And that's just
something,
anything different that you did from the day before is a step towards change.
And I think the biggest thing is really sitting down and, like, taking some time to look at things. Like, when you feel like you're really like, oh, my body, I'm unhealthy, like, I feel like, I got more things that I want to accomplish, but I never feel like I can get focused, or I feel like
I'm 30 and I don't have a house.
Like, whatever it is, you know what I mean?
Like,
so
my family and this and this.
Yeah, but it's not even that far. I mean, I'm just talking about things within your own individual, right, that you want, because family and houses, and sometimes those things take other people and counterparts together, and, like, that's a whole other thing in itself.
But I still feel like people, they start comparing that thing. They start being like,
yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, oh, well, here I am, and I don't have these things. It's like, but it's okay. Whatever your goals are, your goals. You can't sit here and be looking over here. If Brittany has all these things going on, I can't sit back and be like, damn, well, Brittany's 29 and I'm 29. Like, oh, she got, it's really, like, that to me, that's unhealthy. To be sitting here, it's like we were talking about the other day, this competitiveness amongst, friends and families, healthy, where it's like, oh, I see you, sis. Yes, like, I'm rooting for you. Mm-hmm. You know what? Cool. Let me get on that level too.
Right.
Versus being in a sunken place.
Right.